Hello and welcome back to another video. Today it's a quick video. It's a fun project, easy to do, and anyone can do it. It's a phone cover. It's a phone cover which you can attach to the belt, and it has a credit card slot in it. I want to say a couple words for everyone who support my channel last year and this year. Thank you very much. I've got a few people who bought my patterns, and I've got a few people who subscribe to my channel and drop comments. All of you motivate me to create more content for you. Next content, we're gonna create this sign. If you wanna see something creative and interesting like this, keep on watching. Thank you. Print out the pattern and start cutting it out. Remember to use 100% scale when you're printing it out. This pattern and many more are available on our website. You can download them for free. There is few premium patterns which you can buy from our Buy Me a Coffee shop. For this project I use 2.5mm thick veg-tan leather, which is waxed, so it has gentle pull-up effect. And as usual I use scratch awl to mark all the stitching lines and trace pattern onto the leather. Use your favorite knife to cut out the leather. I usually use a rotary cutter and utility knife. Sorry for audio quality in this video, I think my mic is dying slowly. And as usual on the corners I use a press and corner punching tools. That's the easiest way to do the corners. It's a good idea when you start cutting to have a straight edge, at least one of them. So I always start this way in my cutting. I get the straight edge, then I can put the pattern on top and mark where the other side needs to be. It's also a good idea to put some weight on the ruler when you're cutting out. It stops ruler from shifting. Then make a cut, take the strap out and cut out smaller pieces. If you got a few pockets, it's the quickest way. For the card pocket, this strap was a bit too thick, so I changed the thickness to about 1.5mm. Then use the straight edge ruler to cut the smaller pieces on. If you want to reuse the pattern, it's a good idea to print it out on a thicker bit of paper or stick it on top of something thick like a piece of vinyl or cardboard. If you do so, you won't be needing to use a ruler all the time. I cut out the card pieces slightly bigger because this the main pocket gonna have a phone inside, which sometimes it has a little bit of a thickness. So when the smaller pocket overlaps the big one, it needs to be slightly bigger, but it's only about 1 or 2mm. I'm gonna slightly skive the edges. I'm gonna take about 1mm out from it. So I'm marking this with compass tool. And I use my old skiver to do the job. It's not perfect, but then I used a little bit of a sandpaper to flatten everything evenly. When I take it back to the table, I use bone creaser to slightly reduce marring on the leather and previously mentioned sandpaper. So this cover was requested to be carried on the belt. So I made all the measurements before I start making a loop. I don't like the idea of snap fasteners touching the phone. So I create little patch which I'm gonna attach fasteners onto it and then stitch it on top of the case. The details of this patch are in the pattern. But obviously, like you know, I record when I'm prototyping, so I don't have the pattern yet. This way you can see all of the creative process. Let's create the belt loop as well. And as usual, if you got any questions or objections or constructive criticism, please drop us a comment below the video. For smaller patches, I tend to use more dense stitching line than the main pieces. But that's only cosmetic. You can use same prongs on the whole project. And right now I'm shaping the loop, so it's nice and it sticks out a little bit, so you can put the belt comfortably through. And now I use compass tool to mark the holes for snap fasteners. Let's attach snap fasteners and clean some edges, and we're ready to stitch that part. I like to lay down the fasteners before I mount them to see how they look like. And when you press it on the leather, they will leave a mark where to put the hole in. Last thing before the stitching, let's quickly apply Tokonol. I use this marker, empty marker, to apply the Tokonol. It's one part of Tokonol and 2 parts of water. It's the quickest way to apply it, and you don't need to use undiluted one, so you save a Tokonol as well. The tools I use the most, you can find them in affiliate links below this video. The first thing I stitch on is the patch with the bottom of the fastener. And as usual for my hand stitching, I use saddle stitch technique. And when you attach the loop, it's easier to just snap fasten it onto the piece we stitched on earlier. So we finish working on this side, let's do the other side. It's gonna be 2 cut slots. What we usually do with internal pocket, it's slightly cut the side of it, so it doesn't take that much bulk when it's empty. Now I'm placing it to know where to mark the stitching lines, where they're gonna start and where they're gonna finish. And we're gonna use scratch awl to scratch the leather so it takes glue better. We're gonna glue it on and then punch it out and stitch it all together. This way you also see where to apply the glue. I'm quite impatient, so I don't wait until it's completely dry. I use heat gun to speed up the drying process. Unfortunately, I glue a part and I forgot that I need to do the top edge before it's on, because later on you won't be able to do it, or it's gonna be very, very difficult to do it. Because it's a phone cover and phone, it has a little bit of a bulk and it's kind of like a 3D object. It's not like very, very flat. That's why them loops, I'm gonna do them slightly bigger than the main piece. It's not so much bigger than the slightly wider than the main piece. It's about 1 or 2 millimeters. Lay a first stitch on the bottom and we can glue the other pocket on. This time I remembered to actually use Tokonol on the top of edge of that little pocket before I glue it all together. Talking about the glue, on this project I'm using Seva cement. It's same company which does Tokonol. Right, well, let's flip it to the other side and let's get rid of that part of flash side after skiving. In the future I'm thinking to use a little bit of felt to line it inside. We smooth that flash side, so let's start applying glue. I use that tape on the places where I want to place the glue. The glue works better on rough parts of the leather. That's why sometimes I use oil and sandpaper on the hide side to glue things together. Sometimes I like to use wood slicker or bone creaser on the edges after gluing. Some people use a hammer or mallet or sometimes a roller. It's exactly same effect. Right, now stitching lines. I've got a little tip for you. If you want straight lines, it's easier to punch tools into half separates. I very rarely do it all together, but in this project I was quite confident I'm gonna lay them straight. When you're buying punching prongs for the stitching line, it's good investment and will make your life easier if you're gonna get better punching tools. I use only 10 and 2. I've got 4 as well, but I never use 4 in line, to be honest. I'll link some prongs which I use in the description of this video. Right, let's quickly stitch it all together. I use saddle stitch technique for all my hand stitching. Very important thing when you're stitching things together. It's important to be consistent with your movement. If you do different movement each time you go through the hole, it will be untidy. Right, it's time to smooth the edges and applying last finishing touches. I start from using utility knife if I got quite a bit of uneven edge, then use sandpaper, about 120 grit, and sometimes I use also about 400 grit to smooth things out after applying Tokonol. But that's only if you want mirror finish. Run the edges with the skiver again, because when you're sanding it, sometimes you will find the corners sticking out. When you apply finishing touches, it's good to stuff the case with something. For example, in this case, I use my old phone. Now let's apply Tokonol and smooth out the edges. This leather is a little bit oily and it has pull-up effect. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply neat's foot oil, but I'm gonna be quite generous with it. Always remember, anything you apply on the leather, it's best to test it on scraps, because you don't want to ruin your whole day of work. A little bit of work on the inside and the case is ready to go. Thanks for watching and have fun with this project.